Is President Joe Biden's third State of the Union address. He's expected to begin his speech at 8 p.m. Ahead of the speech, our Wisconsin State Capitol Bureau Chief Vanessa Kelsson shares what Wisconsin senators expect to hear tonight.
President Biden will be discussing a range of issues tonight. He's expected to announce construction on a new port in Gaza that will allow more humanitarian aid. He's also expected to talk about the overall health of the economy, the migrant crisis, and reducing the cost of prescription drugs.
I was proud to invite Chief Thompson to this year's State of the Union to represent law enforcement, advocates, and healthcare professionals.
Senator Baldwin, joined by Waukesha Police Chief Daniel Thompson, says she hopes the president outlines solutions for the country's opioid and fentanyl crises.
My mother struggled with opioid addiction. And while Wisconsin has been battling the opioid crisis for years, fentanyl has taken it to new heights.
Meanwhile, Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson says this address won't provide solutions.
I expect to hear President Biden try and put lipstick on this pig.
At the top of Johnson's docket,
we should be securing that border. That's what the American people expect by overwhelming numbers.
Alabama Republican Senator Katie Britt will deliver the GOP response after the speech ends tonight. We'll have coverage throughout the night, so stick with us. In Madison, Vanessa Kelsson.